The documentary opens with a sweeping, cinematic panorama of the universe, where countless stars flicker like distant thoughts scattered across an infinite canvas. The camera glides past glowing nebulae, across silent voids, and through galaxies spiraling with a grace that is at once chaotic and deliberate. Each star seems to pulse with hidden intention, a heartbeat of a cosmos that is vast beyond comprehension. A quiet, resonant voice begins, low and deliberate, asking the question that will haunt the journey: what lies beyond existence? There is a weight to the silence, punctuated only by the faint hum of imagined cosmic currents, a subtle resonance that suggests the universe is listening even as it unfolds. The atmosphere is one of awe and subtle tension, a mixture of wonder and unease that immediately draws the viewer into a state of contemplation. As the camera drifts through cosmic corridors, nebulae unfold like ethereal sculptures, their gases twisting into spirals of red, blue, and gold. Black holes lurk in the distance, their gravitational pull bending light, warping space, creating distortions that hint at a universe stranger than imagination itself. The narrator reflects on the human need to comprehend, to measure, to define, and yet acknowledges the impossibility of capturing the full magnitude of what exists. Each moment of cosmic observation feels both intimate and incomprehensible, a paradox woven into the very fabric of perception. The camera gradually approaches a small, fragile Earth suspended in the void, a pale blue orb glowing faintly against the inky darkness. Here, the narrative turns to human fragility. One heartbeat, one flicker of consciousness, and yet within that brief existence lies the capacity to perceive, to wonder, to question. The contrast between the microcosm and the macrocosm is emphasized. A candle flickers in a darkened room while light from a billion-star cluster travels across eons, unseen yet profoundly present. Through this juxtaposition, the viewer is invited to sense their own impermanence against the backdrop of cosmic eternity. Interspersed are glimpses of human inquiry across time, philosophers gazing at constellations, early astronomers painstakingly charting the heavens, mathematicians scribbling equations whose elegance suggests a hidden order. Each act of curiosity, each careful observation, is a testament to a species attempting to touch the infinite. It is a visual and philosophical meditation on the human impulse to reach beyond the immediate, to question not just what is, but what might be. The imagery shifts subtly, moving beyond the observable. Dimensional speculations appear, universes folded within other universes, energy cascading along invisible planes, fields of dark matter silently shaping galaxies. The narrator asks questions without answers, allowing silence to fill the space between each inquiry. Are there realms we cannot see? Forces we cannot comprehend? Dimensions we cannot touch? The questions linger like stars themselves, each one a spark illuminating the darkness of unknowing. Cosmic motion is juxtaposed with human stillness. Supernovae erupt in violent displays of light, gamma ray bursts streak across unseen expanses, and swirling black holes consume matter with both beauty and terror. Against this, human life appears fragile yet determined. A child's gaze upward mirrors a telescope's lens trained on a distant galaxy. The camera lingers on the small details, a hand tracing the constellations in dust, the steady pulse of a scientist's heart, the flicker of neurons firing in thought, reminding us that consciousness itself is a bridge to the cosmos. Time becomes a fluid concept. The narrative shifts from seconds to millennia, tracing the lifespan of stars, the collision of galaxies, and the birth and death of solar systems. Light, traveling across unimaginable distances, carries with it the story of creation, a record of existence both ancient and immediate. The narrator meditates on human mortality within this framework, each life a brief but brilliant spark, capable of perceiving, imagining, and leaving an imprint upon reality. As the visuals sweep between the infinite and the intimate, the narrative explores the tension between knowledge and mystery. Every observation opens new questions. The universe is simultaneously knowable and unfathomable. Scientific instruments, though powerful, are limited by perception. Human consciousness, though fleeting, offers a unique lens, a capacity to wonder, to feel awe, and to recognize itself reflected in the stars. Philosophers, mystics, and scientists converge here in thought. The quest for understanding is as much internal as it is external. The narrative continues into abstract speculation. Could consciousness itself be a thread woven into the universe's fabric? Does awareness shape reality, or does reality shape awareness? The camera dives through networks of cosmic filaments, each galaxy a node in an incomprehensibly vast neural web. Nebulae become synapses, black holes the shadows of deep contemplation, and the universe appears alive, not in the anthropomorphic sense, but as a living system of relationships, patterns, and energy flows. The Earth, still small against the vastness, is portrayed in intimate detail. Oceans pulse with life, forests sway, winds ripple across plains, and human cities glow faintly in the night. Each act of observation, each moment of curiosity, is a tiny mirror held up to the universe. The camera lingers on faces, the old and the young, the scientist and the dreamer, as if to show that in each of these individuals lies a fragment of the cosmos itself, capable of perceiving and being perceived. Sound design complements the visuals with subtle resonance. Low-frequency hums evoke the background thrum of the universe. Faint vibrations, imagined yet felt, suggest hidden structures and rhythms. Silence punctuates the narrative, allowing the weight of space, time, and consciousness to settle in the viewer's mind. The interplay of sound and absence mirrors the tension between the known and the unknown, emphasizing the depth and mystery of existence. The narrative turns philosophical. Human existence, though brief, carries the power of awareness. Each thought, each inquiry reverberates through both mind and cosmos. We are not separate from the universe. We are participants in its unfolding story. Curiosity, imagination, and observation become acts of co-creation. Science, philosophy, and art are woven together, showing humanity's attempts to touch what lies beyond perception. Speculative imagery intensifies. The universe beyond our own, vast networks of energy, cosmic consciousness, and dimensions that defy conventional understanding. The narrator poses these possibilities gently, leaving room for contemplation rather than asserting conclusion. The audience is invited to sit in the tension of wonder, curiosity, and humility, to feel the magnitude of a cosmos both indifferent and intimately connected to perception. As the sequence nears its close, the camera returns to Earth, highlighting its fragility and brilliance. Moments of human life, laughter, thought, art, love, are set against the infinite backdrop of space. The narrator reminds viewers that existence itself is a fleeting spark, yet within that spark lies the capacity to perceive, to question, and to imagine the unimaginable. The documentary establishes its central themes: curiosity, consciousness, and the boundless horizon beyond what we can currently know. The final visuals linger on a distant star fading into darkness, a reminder of both impermanence and continuity. The music softens into a subtle hum, resonating with the viewer's own breath, heartbeat, and sense of being. Silence follows, pregnant with possibility. Questions hang in the air. What lies beyond perception? Beyond knowledge? Beyond existence itself? The audience is left suspended between awe and curiosity, prepared to embark on the cinematic journey that will trace the edges of human understanding, the architecture of the universe, and the nature of consciousness itself. The journey continues by plunging the audience into the fragile, intricate machinery of human perception, exposing the boundaries that separate our understanding from the vastness of reality. Cinematic sequences open with extreme close-ups of human eyes, their irises reflecting tiny fragments of the world, before expanding to sweeping aerial shots of landscapes, cities, and oceans. This contrast emphasizes the tension between what we see and what remains unseen, suggesting that our senses are both a gift and a limitation. The narrator introduces the idea that perception is not a passive reception of reality, but an active construction by the brain, filtered through evolutionary necessity rather than universal truth. Visualizations of neurons firing, synapses sparking with electric potential, and intricate networks of the mind create an almost tactile sense of consciousness at work, while abstract animations depict how our brains translate incomplete sensory information into a coherent, but sometimes deceptive, picture of the world. To deepen the sense of wonder and tension, the documentary juxtaposes human perception with the cosmic scale. A microbe under a microscope, its internal machinery bustling with life, is contrasted with a supermassive black hole consuming stars light years away. The narrative emphasizes that these scales, both infinitesimal and infinite, exist largely beyond our innate comprehension. It draws attention to the uncanny resonance between the microscopic and the cosmic, the spiraling patterns of DNA echoing galactic spirals, cellular membranes vibrating like planetary atmospheres, suggesting a hidden symmetry that human senses can only glimpse in fragments. This duality underlines a profound truth: we are intimately embedded within the universe, yet largely blind to its totality. Historical examples illustrate humanity's struggle to extend perception. Galileo, peering through a rudimentary telescope at the moons of Jupiter, was the first to crack open a window into realms previously unimaginable. Marie Curie manipulated invisible forces of radioactivity, revealing energies that had silently coursed through matter for eons. Modern astronomers map galaxies billions of light-years away, detecting cosmic radiation that has traveled since the dawn of time. Each discovery expands the horizon of what we can perceive, yet simultaneously reminds us how much remains hidden, how much of existence lies eternally beyond our grasp. These moments are interwoven with human wonder, the elation, the doubt, the sheer vertigo of touching the unknown. Thought experiments push these ideas further, challenging the audience's assumptions. If our senses are limited, how can we trust our understanding of existence? Can color, sound, or texture exist outside our perception? Animations envision alternate realities, creatures that see ultraviolet or infrared, that sense magnetic fields or detect the radiation that permeates the cosmos. In these speculative worlds, reality becomes subjective, shaped by the capacities of the observer. The narrative suggests that what we call truth is not universal but filtered, partial, and always contextual. Awareness itself is framed as a bridge, a tenuous link between the finite human mind and the infinity of being. Emotional tension is heightened through the contrast between what is known and what might lie beyond. Human perception allows us to create art, mathematics, and culture, yet simultaneously blinds us to the vast majority of reality. The narrator poses provocative questions. Is reality inherently unknowable, or does it exist in forms we are ill-equipped to detect? Are we, in essence, prisoners of our own senses, marveling at shadows on the wall while the true forms remain hidden? The audience is invited into both humility and curiosity, a duality that mirrors the broader narrative of exploration. To anchor these abstract concepts, the documentary alternates between intimate human experiences and cosmic phenomena. A child marvels at fireflies in a dark meadow, fascinated by their flickering lights. A physicist traces gravitational waves in a lab, translating invisible ripples in spacetime into tangible data. A satellite captures the birth of a distant star, revealing the violent beauty of creation. This rhythmic oscillation between the immediate and the infinite reinforces the tension inherent in perception, the understanding that while human experience is real and meaningful, it is but a small aperture through which the universe may be glimpsed. Sound design becomes an active participant in this exploration. Delicate, almost imperceptible hums accompany the close-ups of neurons and synapses, suggesting the quiet, ceaseless activity within the mind. As the camera pans outward to cosmic vistas, swelling orchestral crescendos underscore the grandeur of galaxies, nebulae, and star clusters. The subtle interplay of sound and silence mirrors the tension between known and unknown, perception and mystery, human consciousness and the infinite cosmos. The documentary also highlights the cutting-edge tools that extend human perception. Instruments detecting gravitational waves open windows into phenomena that were once inconceivable. Satellites measure the faint cosmic microwave background, allowing us to peer back to the universe's infancy. Quantum sensors capture fleeting events invisible to the naked eye, rendering the imperceptible perceptible. Each technological advance is a reminder of humanity's persistent striving, yet also a humbling acknowledgement of how far we are from truly grasping the totality of existence. Visual metaphors deepen the philosophical undertones. Animated sequences depict neurons firing in patterns that echo the spiraling of galaxies, suggesting a subtle unity between mind and cosmos. The camera lingers on the flicker of thought, mirrored by distant pulsars emitting steady beats across space. Even the tiniest synaptic firing is shown as an act of cosmic resonance, emphasizing that human perception is both a product of evolution and a participant in the larger unfolding of reality. Historical and cultural reflections further enrich the narrative. Indigenous traditions, mystical teachings, and early scientific inquiry converge in the recognition that perception is more than passive observation. It is a form of engagement. Rituals that align human consciousness with celestial cycles, meditative practices that attune attention to subtle energies, and philosophical systems that probe the limits of knowing are presented as complementary pathways to the same truth. The universe and its observers are intertwined, co-creating meaning through attention and awareness. The narrative expands into speculative realms. If perception shapes reality, then the limitations of human senses are not merely biological, they are philosophical. What remains unseen might still exert influence. Invisible energies, parallel dimensions, and imperceptible laws could operate continuously, shaping existence in ways we have yet to comprehend. Through evocative visuals, the documentary portrays these hidden layers. Light bending through gravitational lenses, waves of dark energy pulsing through space, and quantum fields fluctuating beyond human sight. The audience is invited to contemplate not only what exists, but the forms of existence we might never perceive. Ethical and existential questions emerge naturally. If human perception is a finite window into infinite reality, what responsibilities arise from this awareness? The narrator suggests that humility, curiosity, and reverence are essential, as the act of perceiving may itself be an interaction with the vast web of existence. Observation is framed not as passive reception, but as participation. Human consciousness becomes a node in a network, capable of subtle influence upon the world and attuned to the larger rhythms of the universe. Throughout the section, the documentary weaves together sensory experience, philosophical reflection, and scientific insight. Microcosmic details, the intricate folding of proteins, the dance of subatomic particles, are juxtaposed with macrocosmic patterns. Galaxies colliding, supernovae erupting, and cosmic filaments stretching across unimaginable distances. Each juxtaposition reinforces the narrative's central tension. Human perception is profoundly capable yet inherently limited, able to glimpse wonder while remaining blind to much of reality's depth. The section closes with a cinematic sequence of profound resonance. A single neuron fires, its electric spark mirrored by a distant star igniting light years away. This visual metaphor underscores the tenuous yet intimate connection between perception and reality, consciousness and cosmos. The camera lingers, allowing the viewer to sense the fragile continuity between mind and universe, awareness and existence. Silence follows, a silence pregnant with possibility, curiosity, and wonder. By the end of this extended section, the audience is left with a profound sense of humility and awe. The world perceived through human senses is astonishing, yet it is merely a thin veil over an immense, largely invisible reality. Questions remain unanswered, deliberately so. If we sense only a fraction of existence, what lies entirely beyond detection? Are there forces, dimensions, or forms of life that will forever elude understanding? These questions create tension and anticipation, priming viewers for subsequent sections that will explore the boundaries of consciousness, the nature of perception, and the ever-expanding horizon of human understanding. The documentary transitions from the external cosmos to the inner landscapes of thought, exploring the deep philosophical questions that have haunted humanity for millennia. The opening imagery is stark and cinematic. Endless deserts at dusk, oceans stretching beyond the horizon, and empty cathedrals echoing with silence. These visuals evoke the tension between presence and absence, between being and nothingness, immediately immersing the audience in existential wonder. The narrator introduces the foundational question: what does it mean to exist, and what does it mean for something not to exist? To illustrate, the documentary juxtaposes human life, brief, fragile, full of complexity, with the infinite backdrop of space and time, suggesting that every act of consciousness is a fleeting imprint against a vast, indifferent universe. The narrative weaves through history, presenting the perspectives of ancient philosophers, from Plato, who envisioned a realm of eternal, unchanging forms beyond the material world, to Aristotle, who emphasized tangible reality as the basis for understanding being. Dramatic reenactments place viewers in shadowed Athenian streets, where thinkers debated truth, existence, and the void, while abstract visualizations of metaphysical forms and geometric perfection illustrate ideas that transcend language. The documentary then shifts to Eastern philosophy, exploring Buddhist and Taoist interpretations of existence and emptiness. Lush, meditative visuals, misty mountains, flowing rivers, and empty temples contrast the earlier Greco-Roman imagery, highlighting the diverse ways humans have approached the same ultimate questions. The narrative emphasizes that nothingness is not mere absence, but a dynamic, potent concept that frames being, giving shape and meaning to life, thought, and the universe itself. Moving forward, modern philosophy and existentialism are introduced, including the works of Descartes, Kant, Nietzsche, and Heidegger. Dramatic cinematic sequences illustrate abstract ideas. A lone figure walking through a fog-laden city symbolizes the struggle to define selfhood. Shadows stretching across walls evoke the ephemeral nature of identity. Spiraling staircases represent the ascent toward understanding amidst uncertainty. The tension between certainty and doubt, presence and void, hope and despair is reinforced through these visuals, keeping the audience emotionally engaged. The section delves into key concepts like being for itself versus being in itself, exploring how consciousness perceives existence while simultaneously being aware of its own temporality and limitations. Quantum metaphors are subtly introduced, suggesting that philosophical inquiry and scientific exploration converge at the edges of understanding. To maintain cinematic suspense and curiosity, the narrative poses unanswerable questions. If existence is defined by contrast with nothingness, what lies beyond both? Can human thought ever fully grasp what it means to be, or is the nature of reality inherently elusive? Interspersed with historical and philosophical exposition are intimate human moments. A newborn's first breath, a scholar's sleepless nights of contemplation, a solitary thinker staring at the night sky. These images create emotional resonance, connecting abstract ideas to lived experience. The section also explores paradoxes and contradictions inherent in human thought. The desire to define existence versus the impossibility of fully capturing it, the recognition of mortality versus the yearning for eternal meaning. Visual metaphors, mirrors reflecting mirrors, endless corridors fading into darkness, underscore these tensions. Sound design enhances the narrative. Sparse piano notes echo in empty spaces, building a sense of anticipation and reflection, while subtle crescendos accompany moments of revelation or insight. Throughout, the documentary maintains contrast framing, the tangible versus the abstract, hope versus existential fear, clarity versus uncertainty. This interplay keeps viewers emotionally and intellectually invested, compelling them to consider their own place in the vast tapestry of being. As the section concludes, the focus shifts toward bridging philosophy and science. The audience is invited to consider that while human perception is limited, philosophical inquiry allows the mind to probe realms beyond immediate experience. The closing imagery juxtaposes the human brain with the universe itself, neurons firing like galaxies igniting, suggesting a profound resonance between inner and outer existence. By the end of this section, viewers are steeped in awe, wonder, and intellectual curiosity, primed to continue exploring the mysteries of reality through both scientific and philosophical lenses. The lingering question, what does it mean to exist and what lies beyond existence itself, remains unresolved, maintaining suspense and emotional engagement as the journey progresses. The narrative now ventures into the realm where philosophy meets the astonishing frontiers of modern science, the strange, counterintuitive world of quantum mechanics. The opening visuals are cinematic and immersive. A particle accelerator hums with energy, beams of light splitting and colliding in a cathedral-like chamber, while abstract animations show subatomic particles flickering in and out of existence. The narrator introduces the central tension. At the quantum level, the rules that govern everyday life dissolve, revealing a universe stranger and more mysterious than our senses can fathom. The audience is immediately confronted with paradoxes. Particles existing in multiple places at once, waves collapsing into reality only when observed, and entangled particles communicating instantaneously across vast distances. Dramatic, slow-motion visualizations make these invisible phenomena tangible, turning mathematics into a mesmerizing spectacle. The section emphasizes the emotional and intellectual impact of these discoveries, awe at the delicate orchestration of reality, fear of the unpredictable, and wonder at the profound implications for understanding existence itself. Historical context deepens the story, from Max Planck's introduction of the quantum of action to Einstein's skepticism and Schrödinger's famous thought experiments. Viewers are transported to laboratories, lecture halls, and study rooms, witnessing the human drama behind scientific revelation. Cinematic reenactments of these pioneers portray their wonder, doubt, and relentless pursuit of truth, emphasizing that quantum reality was not merely a set of equations but a radical challenge to human intuition. The documentary carefully explains key concepts like superposition, entanglement, and the uncertainty principle, blending clarity with cinematic spectacle. Visual metaphors, overlapping translucent shapes, networks of light stretching across space, and particles dissolving into waves, help the audience grasp the strangeness of phenomena that defy common sense. Contrast framing is used to heighten engagement. The familiar, predictable world of daily experience is juxtaposed against the chaotic, probabilistic realm of the quantum, evoking both fear and fascination. The narrative also explores philosophical implications. If particles exist in multiple states simultaneously, what does that mean for reality? Is the universe deterministic or fundamentally uncertain? Could consciousness itself play a role in shaping reality at its most fundamental level? Through dramatic reenactments and cinematic visuals, the documentary conveys that these questions are not abstract. They strike at the core of what it means to exist. To connect quantum phenomena to human perception, the section presents micro and macro contrasts. Subatomic interactions are mirrored by cosmic events like the formation of stars or the behavior of black holes, suggesting that the universe may operate on principles far stranger than we imagine. Auditory design enhances the mystery with subtle electronic hums, resonant pulses, and sudden sonic bursts echoing the unpredictability and tension inherent in quantum mechanics. The documentary also explores modern experiments pushing the boundaries of knowledge: quantum computing, teleportation of particles, and tests of entanglement over hundreds of kilometers. These sequences are visually dynamic, with laboratory equipment animated in slow motion and simulations translating abstract equations into tangible, cinematic imagery. Suspense is maintained through mystery hooks. What might these discoveries imply about the nature of existence, the fabric of reality, and what lies beyond the observable universe? Could quantum strangeness hint at dimensions or realms beyond our perception, or even the mechanisms underlying consciousness itself? Emotional resonance is built through contrast between human scale and quantum scale. While a person moves through daily life in predictable ways, beneath the surface, reality pulses with uncertainty, unpredictability, and infinite possibility. The section also emphasizes narrative tension. The more scientists uncover about the quantum world, the more questions arise, deepening the sense of mystery and compelling viewers to remain engaged. Interwoven throughout are brief philosophical reflections, suggesting that understanding the quantum realm is not just a scientific pursuit but an existential one, challenging assumptions about reality, causality, and being. Visual storytelling reinforces this. Slow pans through particle clouds dissolve into images of galaxies and cosmic webs, implying a resonance between the smallest and largest scales of existence. By the end of this section, viewers are immersed in awe and wonder, grappling with the profound strangeness of reality at its most fundamental level. The lingering questions, about observation, existence, and the hidden mechanics of the universe, set the stage for further exploration into multiverses, consciousness, and the ultimate boundaries of existence. The section closes on a cinematic note: a single photon tracing a twisting, invisible path, colliding with another particle and vanishing in a flash of light, a metaphor for the fleeting, elusive, and awe-inspiring nature of the quantum universe. The documentary now expands beyond the known universe, venturing into one of the most mind-bending frontiers of modern science: the possibility that our reality is just one of countless others. The opening visuals are cinematic and dizzying: galaxies spiraling in tandem, space folding and stretching, parallel versions of cosmic events playing out simultaneously. The narrator begins by posing the central question: if quantum mechanics allows for infinite possibilities, could there be an infinite number of universes, each with its own laws, histories, and forms of existence? The tension is immediate and profound, blending awe with existential curiosity. Historical and theoretical context is introduced. From Hugh Everett's many worlds interpretation to modern cosmological models, viewers are taken on a journey through decades of scientific thought. Dramatic reenactments show theorists in laboratories and at blackboards, wrestling with ideas so radical that they border on the surreal. To make the abstract tangible, the documentary employs cinematic visualizations, branching timelines, infinite grids of glowing worlds, and shifting patterns of light representing universes that diverge from one another with every quantum choice. Contrast framing reinforces the narrative. Our familiar, orderly universe is juxtaposed with the chaotic, infinite potential of countless unseen realities. Emotional tension is heightened by contemplating the implications. In some universes, every choice you have ever made unfolds differently. In others, civilizations rise and fall in ways entirely alien to our understanding. The documentary emphasizes that the multiverse is not merely science fiction. It is a rigorous hypothesis grounded in physics, cosmology, and mathematics. Visual metaphors include mirrors reflecting mirrors into infinity, and fractal patterns that suggest both order and boundless complexity. Human perspective is woven into the narrative. We see individuals pondering moral, existential, and philosophical consequences of living in a multiverse. What does identity mean if countless versions of oneself exist? How does one find meaning in an infinite sea of possibilities? The section balances scientific explanation with cinematic drama, using simulations of parallel cosmic events, quantum branching of particles, and shifting timelines to create a visual language of the multiverse. Music and sound design enhance the emotional resonance. Low, vibrating tones convey vastness, while sudden crescendos mark cosmic divergence points, mirroring the tension between what is known and what lies beyond perception. The documentary introduces cutting-edge scientific evidence that hints at multiversal possibilities: cosmic microwave background anomalies, inflationary theory, and string theory landscapes are explained through dynamic, visually stunning sequences. The narrative also poses philosophical questions. If infinite universes exist, does morality, choice, and consequence hold the same meaning? Are we unique, or merely one iteration among countless possibilities? Interspersed are intimate human moments. A child imagining other worlds, a philosopher questioning destiny, and a scientist gazing at data that hints at realities beyond imagination. These vignettes create emotional grounding, contrasting the abstract enormity of the multiverse with individual human experience. The section explores paradoxes and suspense. If there are infinite realities, how can we ever know our own? Could there be versions of existence so alien that they defy comprehension? What lies beyond the boundaries of space, time, and possibility itself? Visual storytelling reinforces these tensions. Universes collide and diverge in breathtaking CGI sequences, quantum waves ripple across cosmic landscapes, and light bends in impossible ways, giving viewers a tangible sense of the unimaginable scale. Emotional contrast is maintained throughout. Fear of insignificance is paired with the exhilaration of infinite potential. Mystery is balanced with glimpses of beauty and wonder. The documentary emphasizes that the multiverse hypothesis challenges the very notion of reality, identity, and existence, setting the stage for deeper exploration into consciousness, perception, and the unknown. By the end of this section, viewers are both humbled and exhilarated, standing at the precipice of understanding that our universe may be just one thread in an infinite cosmic tapestry. The section closes on a cinematic visual of countless glowing spheres of existence, each pulsing with light, expanding, contracting, and diverging, leaving the audience suspended in awe and contemplation, ready to journey deeper into the enigmas that lie beyond existence itself. The documentary shifts focus inward, exploring the enigmatic nature of consciousness and the possibility that awareness may exist beyond the confines of the physical body. The opening visuals are cinematic and intimate. Close-ups of eyes opening in darkness, neural networks firing in slow motion, and abstract representations of thoughts swirling like clouds of luminescent particles. The narrator poses a haunting question. If reality is vast and strange, could consciousness itself transcend matter, existing independently of time, space, or the physical brain? To explore this, the narrative begins with the science of the mind, neuroscience, cognitive psychology, and brain imaging, depicting the staggering complexity of neural networks and the delicate orchestration of chemical and electrical signals that give rise to perception, memory, and self-awareness. Cinematic animations transform synapses and firing neurons into mesmerizing constellations, emphasizing that consciousness is both profoundly real and deeply mysterious. The documentary interweaves philosophical perspectives, from Descartes' dualism, which posited a separation between mind and body, to contemporary debates on the hard problem of consciousness. Visual storytelling bridges these abstract ideas, juxtaposing physical brains with ethereal light patterns that suggest thought existing in a realm beyond material form. The section highlights phenomena that challenge conventional understanding: near-death experiences, out-of-body sensations, and lucid dreaming, blending cinematic reenactments with subtle CGI to maintain a sense of realism while evoking wonder. Emotional contrast is carefully crafted. The fragility of the human body is mirrored against the apparent boundlessness of consciousness, inspiring both awe and existential reflection. The narrative then examines cutting-edge theories that suggest consciousness may be a fundamental aspect of reality, not merely an emergent property of complex matter. Quantum consciousness models, panpsychism, and integrated information theory are introduced through dynamic visuals of particles, waves, and interconnected networks, implying that awareness might be woven into the fabric of existence itself. To ground these ideas emotionally, the documentary features human stories: a scientist meditating on the limits of perception, a philosopher pondering the nature of the soul, and a patient recounting experiences that defy physical explanation. These moments create resonance, connecting abstract science with lived human experience. Contrast framing is maintained throughout. The known scientific mechanisms of the brain are placed against the mysterious, uncharted possibilities of consciousness beyond matter. Suspense hooks are introduced. Could awareness survive the death of the body? Is there a continuum of experience that transcends time and space? Might consciousness be capable of perceiving realities inaccessible to our senses? Cinematic visuals reinforce these questions. Glowing threads of light weave through vast cosmic landscapes, neurons firing mirror constellations, and abstract shapes twist and merge to suggest unseen dimensions of thought. The section also delves into the intersection of technology and consciousness. Brain-computer interfaces, AI modeling, and attempts to digitally map human thought highlight both the potential and the limitations of understanding awareness through material means. Emotional tension is heightened by contrasting human ambition with the immense unknown. While we can probe the brain's mechanics, the essence of subjective experience remains elusive. Philosophical reflection deepens the narrative. If consciousness is fundamental, what does that mean for existence, identity, and the universe itself? Are we participants in a larger awareness, or are we solitary sparks briefly illuminating an otherwise dark cosmos? The documentary emphasizes the poetic and mysterious, consciousness as both a bridge and a boundary between the known and the unknowable. Visual metaphors punctuate the narrative, waves overlapping like thought patterns, neural activity dissolving into starlight, and shadowed figures reaching toward glowing realms, suggesting both the mystery and the beauty of awareness beyond matter. By the end of this section, viewers are immersed in awe, wonder, and existential contemplation, grappling with the idea that consciousness may not be bound by the physical world, and that existence itself could be richer, stranger, and more expansive than imagined. The final scene lingers on a single glowing neuron suspended in darkness, pulsing rhythmically as if alive, echoing across the universe, a cinematic metaphor for awareness reaching beyond the material, leaving the audience suspended in mystery and ready to explore the next frontier. The documentary now turns its lens toward one of the most enigmatic and pervasive aspects of reality: time. The opening visuals are cinematic and striking: vast deserts with shifting shadows, ancient trees bending through centuries, rivers carving canyons over millennia, and clocks suspended in voids, their hands spinning erratically. The narrator poses a provocative question: is time a fixed linear flow we are bound to, or an illusion masking a far more complex, eternal structure? The audience is immediately drawn into a sense of awe and disorientation, confronting the tension between human perception and the deeper fabric of reality. The narrative begins by examining the human experience of time, the rhythmic heartbeat, the changing seasons, and the cycles of life and death. Cinematic imagery juxtaposes these intimate, measurable moments against cosmic scales: galaxies spinning over billions of years, light from distant stars traveling through the void, and black holes bending the continuum. This contrast establishes the tension between subjective experience and objective reality. Philosophical reflections are interwoven, from Aristotle's notion of time as the measure of change to Kant's idea of time as a framework of human perception, and Bergson's concept of duration as lived experience. The documentary explores how thinkers have struggled to define and understand this intangible force. Visual storytelling enhances these ideas, using slow-motion sequences, overlapping timelines, and abstract representations of time loops that seem to fold in on themselves, creating a cinematic sense of temporal fluidity. The narrative then moves into modern physics, revealing how Einstein's theory of relativity reshaped our understanding. Time is not absolute but relative, stretched and compressed by gravity and velocity. Dramatic simulations depict astronauts traveling near the speed of light, clocks slowing as they approach massive stars, and light bending through warped spacetime, emphasizing the profound strangeness of temporal mechanics. Emotional tension is heightened through contrast framing. The urgency of human life is juxtaposed against the almost indifferent vastness of cosmic time, evoking both existential fear and awe. The documentary explores paradoxes such as time dilation, closed time-like curves, and the possibility of time loops, challenging viewers to imagine a universe where past, present, and future coexist in unexpected ways. Mystery hooks are maintained. Could consciousness perceive time differently beyond the physical brain? Are there realms where time ceases to exist, or where all moments are eternally present? Cinematic animations illustrate these possibilities, blending surreal landscapes with abstract patterns of light and motion. Human stories anchor the abstract concepts: an elderly person reflecting on a lifetime of memories, a child experiencing the fleeting nature of a summer day, and scientists peering into cosmic events billions of years old. These moments connect the audience emotionally, reminding them that while time may be vast and strange, human experience remains intimately tied to its flow. The section also introduces speculative theories: cyclical universes, multiverse timelines, and the concept of eternal recurrence, all framed through mesmerizing CGI sequences of repeating cosmic structures, expanding and contracting realities, and fractal-like temporal patterns. Sound design underscores these visuals. Low, resonant tones evoke gravity's pull on spacetime, while rhythmic pulses mirror heartbeats and cosmic cycles, creating a visceral sense of time's multifaceted nature. The documentary examines the psychological and philosophical implications. How does the perception of time shape meaning, identity, and memory? If time is an illusion or a loop, what does that suggest about fate, free will, and the human experience? These questions are left open-ended, sustaining suspense and encouraging contemplation. As the section progresses, the narrative emphasizes contrasts between the tangible and the abstract. The ticking of a clock versus the endless drift of galaxies, fleeting human moments versus eternal cosmic processes, and the certainty of death versus the possibility of timelessness. Visual metaphors reinforce these ideas. Rivers folding back upon themselves, shadows stretching and contracting, and light bending around invisible curves, symbolizing the fluidity and paradoxical nature of time. The section culminates in a cinematic exploration of temporal infinity, sequences of stars forming and collapsing, civilizations rising and fading, and abstract representations of moments coexisting simultaneously, evoking both awe and existential reflection. By the end, the audience is immersed in the profound strangeness and beauty of time, challenged to reconsider its nature, its impact on consciousness, and the possibility that it may be far more complex and mysterious than linear perception suggests. The final imagery lingers on an infinite spiral of light, each turn representing a moment in time, slowly rotating in the void, a visual metaphor for eternity, mystery, and the elusive boundaries of existence, leaving viewers suspended between fear, wonder, and curiosity. The documentary now turns to the intimate and universal themes of life and death, exploring them not as opposites, but as thresholds in a vast continuum that may extend beyond what we can perceive. The opening visuals are cinematic and visceral. Dew-laden fields at dawn, a newborn stretching its tiny limbs, trees shedding leaves in slow motion, and the gradual decay of ancient structures crumbling into dust. The narrator asks a profound question. If existence is a fleeting spark in the cosmic expanse, what lies beyond the boundaries of life? This section immediately evokes awe, wonder, and existential curiosity, framing life and death as interconnected elements of a larger, mysterious reality. The narrative begins by examining the biological miracle of life. Cells dividing, DNA spiraling, and ecosystems flourishing in intricate harmony. Cinematic visualizations transform microscopic processes into sweeping, abstract landscapes of motion and light, emphasizing the complexity and fragility of living systems. The documentary juxtaposes these intimate depictions with cosmic imagery, stars forming and dying, supernovae scattering elements into space, illustrating that life and death are reflections of universal cycles, from the microcosm to the macrocosm. Historical and cultural perspectives are introduced, showing how human societies have interpreted life and death through myth, religion, and philosophy. Ancient rituals, sacred burial sites, and symbolic art are presented alongside modern scientific approaches such as cryobiology, regenerative medicine, and studies of consciousness at the moment of death. Contrast framing is used to evoke emotional resonance, the vulnerability and brevity of individual life against the endless, cyclical processes of the universe, inspiring both fear and awe. The narrative then delves into philosophical considerations, from Epicurus' contemplation of mortality to Eastern notions of reincarnation and the impermanence of self. Viewers are encouraged to reflect on the meaning and purpose of existence. Abstract cinematic imagery, spiraling particles dissolving human silhouettes and flowing light, visually represents the interplay between being and non-being, emphasizing that death may be a threshold rather than an end. Mystery hooks are maintained through exploration of phenomena that challenge conventional understanding. Near-death experiences, reports of consciousness persisting beyond clinical death, and scientific studies of brain activity at the moment of passing. These sequences are presented with subtle, immersive reenactments and visual effects, blending the line between empirical observation and existential wonder. Emotional tension is heightened through intimate human stories, families mourning loss, individuals confronting terminal illness, and personal reflections on mortality. These moments ground the abstract and cosmic explorations in human experience, creating empathy and emotional depth. The section also explores the potential for life and consciousness to exist beyond physical forms. Theoretical concepts such as the persistence of information, quantum continuity, and panpsychism are illustrated with cinematic metaphors, threads of light connecting individuals to the cosmos, energy patterns echoing across space and time, suggesting that life may leave imprints that transcend matter. Sound design enhances the narrative's emotional and philosophical weight. Subtle heartbeats, wind through forests, and distant cosmic pulses intertwine to create a sense of both intimacy and universality. Suspense and curiosity are maintained. If death is not the absolute end, what forms might consciousness or essence take beyond the physical body? Could existence continue in ways entirely alien to human understanding? The documentary emphasizes contrast between certainty and uncertainty, known biology and speculative philosophy, presence and absence, encouraging viewers to confront the profound mysteries that surround life and death. Cinematic visuals underscore these ideas. Cycles of decay and regeneration, stars collapsing to form new elements, and abstract representations of consciousness flowing through luminous patterns, reinforcing the interconnectedness of all existence. By the conclusion of this section, viewers are enveloped in a mix of awe, reverence, and contemplative tension, recognizing that life and death are thresholds rather than opposites, portals to mysteries that extend beyond human perception. The final scene lingers on a single leaf falling into a river, its motion echoed by the birth of a star in a distant galaxy, a visual metaphor for the continuity, fragility, and transcendence inherent in the cycles of existence, leaving the audience suspended between fear, wonder, and profound curiosity. The documentary now embarks on a journey into the deepest, most mysterious reaches of the universe, where light barely penetrates and human understanding falters. The opening visuals are cinematic and immersive, vast swathes of dark space punctuated by distant galaxies, swirling nebulas glowing in ethereal hues, and black holes devouring everything that crosses their path. The narrator poses an unsettling question. What exists in the voids between stars, in the realms we cannot observe, and in spaces beyond even our most advanced instruments? This section immediately evokes a mix of awe, fear, and wonder, plunging the audience into the vast unknown that lies beyond the familiar cosmos. The narrative begins by exploring the observable universe, galactic clusters, cosmic filaments, and the cosmic microwave background, but swiftly transitions to regions beyond detection, where matter, energy, and phenomena may exist that remain invisible to current technology. Cinematic simulations depict entire galaxies hidden in darkness, cosmic voids stretching for millions of light-years, and gravitational distortions that hint at unseen forces. The documentary emphasizes the tension between what is known and what remains entirely unknown, framing exploration as a delicate balance between discovery and mystery. Historical context is interwoven, showing humanity's progressive unveiling of the cosmos. Early astronomers mapping constellations, space probes venturing into the outer planets, and modern telescopes capturing light from the earliest moments after the Big Bang. Dramatic reenactments highlight the human drive to explore, juxtaposed with the overwhelming scale of the unknown, emphasizing both the bravery and fragility of human curiosity. Mystery hooks are maintained by presenting phenomena that challenge understanding. Dark matter, dark energy, rogue planets drifting in isolation, and hypothetical cosmic structures that may exist beyond observational limits. Visualizations translate abstract science into cinematic spectacle. Invisible matter represented as shifting, shadowy forms, dark energy depicted as a subtle, omnipresent glow stretching across the void, and gravitational waves rendered as rippling distortions in the cosmic fabric. Emotional tension is enhanced through contrast framing. The beauty and order of observable celestial objects are juxtaposed with the vast, silent, and possibly chaotic regions beyond detection, evoking both awe and existential unease. The narrative examines the philosophical implications of the unknown cosmos. If the universe is largely invisible and incomprehensible, what does that mean for our place within it? Could there be forces, entities, or laws entirely alien to human understanding, lurking in the spaces beyond our perception? To humanize these concepts, the documentary intersperses intimate reflections. A lone astronomer gazing at the night sky, a child imagining distant worlds, and a physicist contemplating the limits of instrumentation, illustrating the emotional and intellectual stakes of exploring the unknown. The section also delves into theoretical frontiers. Multiverse possibilities, cosmic inflation, wormholes, and higher dimensional spaces. Cinematic animations visualize these concepts with surreal, awe-inspiring imagery, galaxies folding over themselves, cosmic strings stretching across the void, and portals hinting at dimensions beyond perception. Sound design reinforces the emotional depth. Deep, resonant drones evoke the silence and vastness of space, punctuated by high, crystalline notes representing distant stars and energetic phenomena. The narrative emphasizes suspense and curiosity. What if the majority of existence lies in regions we cannot see? Could life or consciousness exist in forms entirely alien to matter as we know it? The audience is encouraged to confront the limitations of knowledge and the boundless possibilities of the unknown cosmos. Visual metaphors further deepen engagement. Light bending around invisible masses, stars flickering like distant thoughts, and cosmic voids represented as dark seas stretching endlessly, reinforcing the contrast between knowledge and mystery. Human history, science, and imagination are interwoven, portraying the cosmos as both a frontier of discovery and a mirror reflecting our own curiosity and fear. By the end of this section, viewers are enveloped in awe, existential wonder, and a profound sense of curiosity about the hidden vastness of the universe. The closing cinematic sequence lingers on a distant galaxy slowly emerging from darkness, its light faint but persistent, symbolizing the enduring human quest to explore the unknown and the tantalizing mysteries that lie beyond even the reach of our most ambitious instruments, leaving the audience suspended between fear, fascination, and wonder. The documentary now ventures into realms beyond our immediate perception, exploring the tantalizing possibility that reality is far more layered and complex than the three dimensions we inhabit. The opening visuals are cinematic and surreal, ribbons of light folding over themselves, landscapes that stretch and twist impossibly, and shadowed corridors extending into infinite space. The narrator introduces the central question: could dimensions exist beyond our senses, harboring realities entirely alien to our understanding? This section immediately evokes awe, wonder, and subtle unease, inviting viewers to contemplate the hidden structures of existence. The narrative begins with a grounding in physics, explaining dimensions beyond the familiar three, time as the fourth dimension, and higher spatial dimensions predicted by string theory and other advanced models. Cinematic visualizations transform these abstract concepts into tangible, immersive experiences. Hypercubes rotating in impossible ways, multidimensional planes intersecting, and layers of reality revealed as translucent strata through which energy and matter flow. Historical context enriches the story, from early philosophical speculations about unseen realms to the revolutionary breakthroughs of modern physics. The documentary highlights humanity's evolving understanding of hidden realities. Dramatic reenactments show scientists, mathematicians, and thinkers grappling with ideas so counterintuitive they challenge the very notion of rational thought, emphasizing both the brilliance and the audacity required to probe the unknown. Mystery hooks are maintained through the exploration of phenomena that suggest unseen dimensions. Quantum entanglement, gravitational anomalies, and theoretical constructs like brains and wormholes. Visual metaphors render these concepts cinematic. Threads of light connecting distant points, distortions of space that bend and fold, and shadowy shapes suggesting layers beyond perception. Emotional contrast is carefully crafted. The familiar, predictable world is juxtaposed against these hidden, potentially infinite realities, inspiring both fear and fascination. Human experience is woven into the narrative. Individuals encountering moments of awe, children imagining worlds beyond sight, and scientists staring at data that hints at realities too complex to visualize fully. These vignettes ground the abstract in emotional resonance, allowing viewers to feel the wonder and disorientation of confronting dimensions beyond perception. The documentary delves into philosophical implications. If hidden realities exist, what does that mean for identity, choice, and consciousness? Could multiple versions of ourselves inhabit these parallel planes, acting out possibilities we cannot even imagine? Cinematic storytelling emphasizes suspense, using visual sequences of overlapping timelines, mirrored worlds, and shifting landscapes to evoke a sense of infinite potential. Sound design enhances the experience. Deep, resonant tones represent the underlying structure of hidden dimensions, while high-pitched, shimmering sounds illustrate the subtlety and elusiveness of realities beyond perception. The narrative also examines theoretical possibilities for interaction with these dimensions: portals, higher dimensional travel, and the subtle influence of unseen planes on our observable world. Visual simulations depict energy pulses traversing invisible layers, gravity bending in impossible ways, and matter flickering in and out of alternate states, creating both a sense of realism and cinematic spectacle. Philosophical reflection deepens the narrative. If parallel dimensions exist, is reality singular or layered? Are our experiences unique, or merely one thread in a vast, multidimensional tapestry? The documentary encourages viewers to confront the unsettling possibility that the universe is far stranger than the human mind can easily comprehend. Contrast between certainty and mystery is maintained throughout. While the physical laws of our universe provide stability, the hidden dimensions evoke unpredictability and infinite possibility. Cinematic metaphors reinforce these tensions. Twisting staircases leading nowhere, doors opening into endless voids, and translucent planes folding over one another, visually representing the fragility and vastness of human understanding. As the section progresses, viewers are guided through scenarios where hidden realities might influence perception, causality, and even consciousness, suggesting that our familiar world may be only a surface layer atop a deeper, more intricate structure. Emotional engagement is heightened through awe-inspiring visuals of multidimensional space, pulsating energy fields, and surreal landscapes that challenge spatial intuition, leaving the audience suspended between fascination and existential curiosity. By the end of this section, viewers are immersed in wonder and suspense, contemplating the possibility that the reality they perceive is only a fraction of what truly exists. The final cinematic image lingers on a shimmering, layered structure folding into itself, light refracting through invisible planes, a visual metaphor for hidden realities just beyond perception, leaving the audience both mesmerized and hungry for the mysteries yet to be unveiled. The documentary now explores the profound and provocative idea that the universe itself may possess a form of consciousness, suggesting that awareness is not confined to living beings but could be a fundamental property of existence. The opening visuals are cinematic and immersive, vast nebulae swirling like neural networks, galaxies pulsing with light as if breathing, and intricate patterns of energy flowing across cosmic voids. The narrator poses the central question: if consciousness exists throughout the cosmos, what does that imply about our own awareness and our connection to the universe? This immediately evokes awe, wonder, and a subtle sense of existential unease. The narrative begins by bridging science and philosophy, examining concepts such as panpsychism, integrated information theory, and cosmopsychism, which propose that consciousness is not merely emergent but intrinsic to reality. Cinematic visualizations transform these abstract ideas into tangible experiences: streams of light connecting stars, patterns of cosmic energy mirroring neural activity, and pulsating waves representing awareness permeating space. Historical perspectives enrich the discussion. Ancient mystics and philosophers who glimpsed unity between mind and cosmos, from Eastern meditations on universal consciousness to Western thinkers exploring the interconnectedness of all things. Dramatic reenactments place viewers in candlelit monasteries, observatories, and meditation chambers, emphasizing humanity's long-standing fascination with the possibility that awareness transcends individual experience. Mystery hooks are maintained through scientific and philosophical questions. Could the universe perceive itself? Do galaxies, stars, and planets participate in an unconscious awareness that subtly shapes reality? What is the relationship between individual consciousness and the cosmos at large? Emotional contrast is central. Intimate human experiences, meditation, awe at natural beauty, and moments of creative insight are juxtaposed against the immense scale of the universe, evoking both humility and exhilaration. The documentary examines scientific phenomena that hint at a universe capable of awareness: complex adaptive systems, emergent patterns in nature, and the apparent fine-tuning of physical constants that allow life and order to exist. These sequences are presented with cinematic flair: simulations of star clusters forming like neural networks, quantum interactions visualized as flowing streams of energy, and cosmic webs rendered in glowing, interconnected lattices. Philosophical reflections deepen the narrative. If the universe is aware, what role do humans play within this cosmic mind? Are we isolated observers, integral nodes, or fleeting sparks within an eternal intelligence? The documentary uses surreal, cinematic visuals to explore these possibilities: human silhouettes dissolving into starlight, energy flowing between consciousness and cosmos, and spirals of light suggesting feedback loops of awareness. Sound design complements the visuals. Low resonant hums evoke the vastness of space, punctuated by shimmering tones representing flickers of universal consciousness, creating a sense of both intimacy and enormity. Human stories provide grounding: scientists reflecting on the uncanny patterns of nature, mystics describing transcendent experiences, and ordinary people sensing connections beyond themselves. These vignettes anchor the abstract concept of cosmic consciousness in lived reality. The section also explores implications for understanding existence. If consciousness is universal, then life, mind, and matter are intertwined at a fundamental level. This challenges conventional distinctions between observer and observed, self and other, local and cosmic, creating both philosophical and emotional tension. Contrast framing is carefully maintained. Moments of clarity and insight are paired with awe at the vast, unknowable scale. Intimate human perception contrasts with the boundless cosmic web. Mystery is preserved through unresolved questions. Can human consciousness ever fully access or comprehend universal awareness? Are there layers of perception we are blind to, or are we participants in an ongoing cosmic dialogue? Cinematic storytelling emphasizes these ideas through abstract sequences. Neural-like networks connecting planets and stars, light waves pulsing rhythmically across the universe, and spiraling energy forms suggesting thought or awareness at scales beyond comprehension. By the end of this section, viewers are enveloped in wonder, curiosity, and contemplative awe, contemplating a universe that is not only vast and mysterious but potentially sentient in ways that challenge the very notion of existence. The final cinematic image lingers on a galaxy glowing softly, its spiral arms radiating like neural pathways, subtly pulsating as if alive, a visual metaphor for cosmic consciousness, leaving the audience suspended between reverence, curiosity, and the tantalizing possibility that awareness permeates all that exists. The documentary now confronts one of the most profound and challenging questions. What is the fundamental nature of reality itself? The opening visuals are cinematic and otherworldly, swirling clouds of energy stretching across infinite voids, distorted grids suggesting warped dimensions, and luminous threads connecting distant stars in patterns that hint at hidden structures. The narrator poses a haunting question. If the universe is far stranger than our senses can detect, what is real, and what exists beyond space and time as we understand them? This section immediately evokes awe, wonder, and a subtle tension, compelling viewers to confront the limits of perception and cognition. The narrative begins by examining classical notions of reality: matter as tangible substance, space as an infinite container, and time as a linear progression. Cinematic sequences juxtapose everyday experience, walking through a city, observing natural landscapes, with abstract visualizations of space-time curvature, gravitational anomalies, and multidimensional geometries, emphasizing the contrast between human perception and the deeper nature of existence. Historical perspectives are interwoven. Philosophers and scientists from Plato and Descartes to Einstein and Bohr struggled to define what is real, highlighting the interplay between observation, interpretation, and hidden truths. Dramatic reenactments depict thinkers in contemplation, surrounded by abstract representations of concepts like ideal forms, uncertainty, and relativity, emphasizing both intellectual rigor and human vulnerability in the face of the unknown. The documentary introduces modern physics and cosmology, exploring how space and time are not absolute but emergent properties of a deeper reality. Visualizations include warped spacetime grids, black holes bending light, and simulations of higher dimensional spaces folding upon themselves, creating immersive and cinematic representations of otherwise invisible phenomena. Mystery hooks are maintained through paradoxes. If reality is relative, can we trust our senses? Could multiple, overlapping realities exist simultaneously? Are space and time merely convenient frameworks for human perception, concealing a more fundamental truth? Emotional contrast is central. The familiar, predictable world is juxtaposed against a vast, unfathomable cosmos where rules bend and collapse, evoking fear, awe, and existential curiosity. The narrative explores quantum implications. Particles existing in superposition, entangled across distances, and probabilistic realities suggest that the very fabric of existence may be non-deterministic and fundamentally mysterious. Cinematic metaphors translate these abstract ideas, glowing waves interweaving with tangible objects, light bending in impossible patterns, and reality fragmenting into infinite possibilities. Human experience is woven in to ground these concepts. A child reaching for a flickering shadow, a scientist observing anomalies in a lab, and philosophers reflecting on perception, existence, and consciousness. These vignettes evoke emotional resonance and allow viewers to connect personally with abstract ideas. The section also delves into speculative ideas, simulation hypotheses, holographic principles, and higher dimensional realms, suggesting that what we perceive as reality may be only a surface manifestation of deeper structures. Visual storytelling emphasizes these possibilities through immersive sequences of shifting landscapes, layers of reality folding, and energy flowing through unseen dimensions. Sound design enhances the cinematic experience. Low, resonant drones convey the vastness of the unseen, while higher, crystalline tones represent fleeting glimpses of hidden truth, creating an auditory sense of mystery and tension. Philosophical reflection deepens the narrative. If reality extends beyond space and time, what are the implications for consciousness, identity, and meaning? Are we observers trapped in a limited perception, or participants in a reality far more expansive and interconnected than imagined? Contrast between clarity and uncertainty is maintained throughout, reinforcing the tension and engagement necessary for deep intellectual and emotional immersion. The documentary emphasizes that the pursuit of understanding reality is both scientific and existential. The more we uncover, the more profound questions emerge, and the edge of knowing continually expands. By the end of this section, viewers are enveloped in awe and contemplation, recognizing that reality is not merely what we perceive, but a complex, mysterious fabric that transcends conventional notions of space, time, and matter. The closing cinematic imagery lingers on a luminous, interwoven lattice of energy and light, stretching beyond the visible universe, pulsating subtly, a visual metaphor for a reality that is infinite, intricate, and beyond human perception, leaving the audience suspended between wonder, curiosity, and existential reflection. The documentary now delves into the most profound and elusive frontier of thought, the paradoxical relationship between existence and non-existence. The opening visuals are cinematic and surreal, a vast desert fading into darkness, stars blinking in and out of sight, and abstract shapes dissolving into emptiness, immediately evoking both wonder and unease. The narrator poses the central, haunting question: what lies beyond being, and how can nothingness itself be understood as a part of reality? This section immerses the audience in a tension-filled exploration of the ultimate existential paradox. The narrative begins by grounding viewers in philosophical inquiry, examining historical perspectives on being and nothingness, from Parmenides' assertion of being is, to Heidegger's reflections on being toward death. Dramatic reenactments depict thinkers in shadowed study halls, candlelight flickering as they grapple with the concepts of presence, absence, and the void. Cinematic visualizations transform abstract ideas into tangible imagery, empty spaces folding into themselves, particles appearing and vanishing, and echoes of human figures dissolving into light. The documentary contrasts existence as experienced, tangible, fleeting, and emotionally charged, with non-existence as an abstract, almost incomprehensible void. Emotional engagement is heightened through juxtaposition. Moments of creation, birth, and life's vibrancy are set against scenes of decay, silence, and cosmic emptiness, evoking both awe and existential reflection. Mystery hooks are maintained through exploration of questions that defy definitive answers. If nothingness exists as a concept, does it have reality? Can non-being influence being, or is it merely a human abstraction? How do life, consciousness, and matter emerge from or interact with the void? The narrative then examines the intersection of philosophy and modern science. Quantum fluctuations, vacuum energy, and the spontaneous emergence of particles from empty space suggest that non-existence may be far from empty, implying that the boundary between being and nothingness is porous and dynamic. Cinematic sequences illustrate these phenomena, glowing particles flickering into existence, cosmic webs stretching across unseen voids, and abstract energy fields pulsating subtly, visually representing the interplay between presence and absence. Human experience is woven into the narrative. Moments of solitude, reflection, and confrontation with mortality anchor the abstract paradox in relatable emotion, emphasizing that understanding existence and non-existence is as much personal as it is intellectual. The documentary introduces Eastern philosophical perspectives, including Buddhist and Taoist notions of emptiness, impermanence, and the interdependence of all things. Visual storytelling merges these ideas with cinematic spectacle. Misty mountains fading into infinity, flowing rivers dissolving into light, and meditative sequences emphasizing the fluidity of being and nothingness. Contrast framing is central to engagement. Clarity versus mystery, life versus void, hope versus fear, all intertwined to maintain tension and captivate viewers. Sound design enhances the existential atmosphere. Deep resonant hums evoke the immensity of the void, punctuated by ethereal, fleeting tones representing the emergence of existence from nothingness. Philosophical reflection deepens the narrative. If existence and non-existence are intertwined, what does this imply about consciousness, identity, and the nature of reality? Are we temporary sparks in an eternal void, or conscious manifestations of a universe that transcends both being and non-being? The documentary also explores speculative scientific concepts. Multiversal emergence, pre-Big Bang scenarios, and the role of observation in collapsing probabilities, suggesting that the paradox of existence and non-existence may be intrinsic to the structure of reality itself. Visual metaphors reinforce these ideas. Spirals of light fading into darkness, mirrored surfaces reflecting infinite voids, and abstract forms appearing only to dissolve moments later, creating a cinematic sense of mystery and contemplation. Emotional resonance is maintained through intimate human stories. Grief, wonder, and moments of insight juxtaposed against cosmic imagery of emptiness and flux, grounding the abstract in visceral experience. By the end of this section, viewers are immersed in awe, intellectual tension, and existential reflection, grappling with the ultimate paradox of reality, that being and nothingness may not be opposites, but complementary, intertwined facets of a universe far more complex than perception allows. The final cinematic imagery lingers on a glowing particle vanishing into darkness, only to flicker back moments later, a visual metaphor for the delicate, enigmatic dance between existence and non-existence, leaving the audience suspended between fear, wonder, and profound curiosity. The sequence begins with an image of dawn. The first rays of sunlight spill over the horizon, bathing the earth in gold. Mist rises from forests, waves shimmer with new light, and birds take flight across the awakening sky. The music is gentle, reverent, a slow crescendo of strings and human voices that seem to echo the breath of creation itself. The narrator's voice enters softly, with a tone that carries both warmth and wonder. Every dawn is a rebirth. Every moment the light returns, the universe whispers the same promise, that existence is not a single event but an ongoing miracle. The camera moves from the vast horizon to small, intimate details, dew glistening on a leaf, a drop of water trembling before it falls, a human hand reaching toward the light. The macro and the cosmic become one rhythm. Somewhere, the narrator continues, in the quiet pulse of time, humanity began to sense that the light outside mirrors a light within. That beyond the rising sun, there is another dawn, one that breaks not in the sky but in consciousness itself. The visuals shift to ancient temples and sacred sites across different civilizations. The pyramids of Giza, the stone circles of Britain, the temples of Angkor, the shrines of Japan, the desert monasteries of the Middle East. All stand bathed in the same universal light. These structures, the narrator says, were not just built to honor gods. They were messages carved in stone, reminders of a knowing that once filled the human heart, that the divine was never separate from the world, that light and form are one eternal gesture. The music deepens. We see a monk lighting a candle in darkness, his face serene and weathered by time. Then a physicist adjusting a lens, a child tracing constellations on a digital tablet, a dancer spinning beneath stars. The images weave together like threads of one vast tapestry. The languages have changed, the voice reflects, but the seeking has not. Whether through prayer, equation, or art, we have always reached toward the same mystery, that something greater moves through us. That what we call existence is only a veil over infinity. The visuals shift to a slow-motion sequence of a desert storm, sand swirling like galaxies, lightning flashing across the horizon. Perhaps every storm, the narrator says, is a mirror of the inner tempest, the chaos of transformation, where identity dissolves and something new is born. As the storm fades, we see a lone figure standing in the calm afterward. The camera circles them, revealing their face, neither male nor female, neither young nor old, representing humanity itself. They gaze at the sky as the clouds open to reveal a radiant light. The narrator's tone softens, becoming intimate. We are each that figure, alone beneath an infinite sky, waiting for light to return. And yet, even in our waiting, the light has never left us. It was always within. A heartbeat echoes in the soundtrack, steady, slow, deep. The visuals move inside the body, veins pulsing, neurons firing, blood flowing like rivers of light. Every heartbeat, the voice continues, is a cosmic drum. Every thought a spark of the same fire that burns in stars. We are not apart from the universe, we are its living awareness. The camera transitions into cosmic imagery, galaxies spiraling, nebulae birthing stars, black holes consuming light. The visuals merge seamlessly with cellular and atomic imagery, the micro and macro indistinguishable. What if consciousness, the narrator muses, is not limited to the mind, but is the very fabric of space itself? What if every atom hums with awareness, every photon carries memory, every silence vibrates with knowing? The music swells, haunting and beautiful. The visuals slow, showing a child standing before a massive planetarium dome, eyes wide with wonder. Perhaps that's why we look to the stars, the narrator says, not to find something out there, but to remember what we already are. Scenes of human progress flow, cave paintings evolving into architecture, into cities, into spacecraft. Yet the tone remains meditative, not triumphant. We built machines to explore the skies, telescopes to peer into time, and equations to measure creation, the narrator continues. But the more we saw, the more we realized, the universe is not a thing to understand but a being to feel. The visuals shift to faces, people from every culture, every age. Their expressions range from laughter to sorrow, from awe to serenity. Each face, the narrator says, is a reflection of eternity wearing a temporary form. The infinite has chosen to experience itself as human, fragile, beautiful, aware. Soft piano notes begin to play, carrying emotion through simplicity. The narrator's voice lowers. We fear endings. We cling to permanence. But what if change is the language of existence? What if impermanence is not loss but grace? We see time-lapse shots of flowers blooming and fading, cities rising and decaying, glaciers melting and reforming. The visuals are both breathtaking and melancholic. Everything flows, the voice whispers. Even stars must die so new worlds can be born. Even we must fade so the infinite can see itself anew. The camera pans across a field at dusk. Fireflies flicker like stars in miniature. A young girl reaches out her hand and one lands upon her palm, a tiny point of light. She smiles. Perhaps, the narrator says, that is what it means to live, to hold light for a brief moment, to marvel at it and to let it go. The music grows more contemplative. We move from the intimate to the collective. Cities at night glowing with human energy, highways like rivers of light, satellites orbiting Earth. We have built a civilization of light, the voice observes, but have we remembered the source of it? The screen fades to a single candle flame. The background is total darkness. The flame flickers, fragile yet unyielding. Every soul, the narrator whispers, is a candle burning against the night, not to conquer the darkness, but to reveal that it was never separate from the light. The flame expands into the sun. The visuals become brilliant, waves of gold and red washing across the screen. The sun does not fight the dark, the voice continues. It simply shines. So too does consciousness. Awareness does not conquer ignorance. It illuminates it, and in that illumination, all shadows dissolve. As the light fades, we see the same figure from earlier, standing now at the edge of a great ocean watching the waves. The horizon glows with sunset. The narrator's tone becomes deeply introspective. To stand before the ocean is to face the infinite in motion. Each wave rises, breaks and returns, yet the sea remains. So too with us. We come and go, but what we are does not. Slowly the camera submerges beneath the surface. Fish gliding through beams of light, coral blooming like celestial forms. Life beneath the surface, the voice says, is as vast and mysterious as the stars above. The universe hides its infinity in both directions, outward and inward. The music shifts to a single resonant note that hums like the vibration of the earth itself. The visuals move between elements, fire, water, wind, earth, light. Each transforms into the next, fluid and eternal. The elements dance through all things, the narrator says. The fire in your blood is the fire of suns. The air you breathe once moved through ancient forests and unborn worlds. You are not made of matter, you are made of transformation. We see a montage of human history, art painted, temples built, tears shed, wars fought, hands joined. Through love and loss, through birth and death, through discovery and silence, humanity continues to move, not forward but inward, toward the heart of what it means to exist. The music becomes gentle again as the narrator's voice softens almost to a whisper. To live is not to possess life, but to participate in its unfolding. To awaken is not to leave the world, but to see it as it truly is, boundless, eternal, alive. The visuals begin to slow. We see an elderly man sitting beneath a tree, eyes closed, breathing softly. Children play nearby, their laughter echoing through the air. The wind moves the branches above, scattering sunlight in ripples across the scene. Perhaps enlightenment, the narrator says, is not a distant peak to climb but a simple act, to sit beneath a tree and realize the tree, the wind, the laughter and the breath are all one. The music fades to near silence. Only natural sounds remain, wind, birds, heartbeat. The screen shows a close-up of the man's eye opening, reflecting the entire sky. Look deeply, the voice whispers. The universe is not out there. It is here behind your gaze. It is you. For a moment, the visuals become abstract. Light swirling, blending colors, patterns forming and dissolving. The narrator's final words for this section come like a revelation, calm yet infinite in meaning. The beyond we seek has never been beyond. It is the space between moments, the stillness between breaths, the awareness behind every name and form. It is not somewhere we go. It is what we have always been. The screen fades into light. The music swells, slow and vast, then dissolves into a single sustained note, neither beginning nor end, only presence. The light flickers softly, pulsing like a heartbeat. Then it fades to black. Silence. The heartbeat continues, slow, steady, eternal. The frame opens in darkness, the kind of darkness that feels infinite, yet intimate. It hums with invisible energy, as if something vast is waiting just beyond perception. A single spark of light flickers, trembles, then expands into a radiant bloom. The narrator's voice enters softly, deliberate, carrying the weight of centuries of human wondering. What if reality is not what it seems? What if existence itself is only a shadow, a thin veil draped over something far greater, far more real? This is where the story deepens, into the metaphysical heart of existence, where science, philosophy, and mysticism collide. The visuals swirl like a dream, collapsing stars, neurons firing, ancient temples hidden in fog, waves of light bending through time. The music is subtle and haunting, strings whispering in resonance with the pulse of the cosmos. The narration continues, almost questioning itself. We have mapped galaxies, split atoms, measured the age of the universe, and yet, the closer we look, the more it slips away. Could the universe itself be an illusion? A simulation of something we cannot yet name? The screen shifts, from the macrocosm to the microcosm. The camera zooms through a human eye into the microscopic universe of cells and DNA, then dives deeper, into quantum fields vibrating with invisible potential. The narrator draws a parallel. Every atom is 999% empty space. What we call matter is merely energy held in rhythm. The solidity of the world is a dance of frequencies. What then is real? A physicist appears in a dimly lit laboratory. Reality, she says, might be a kind of cosmic rendering, information processed through consciousness. The universe as we see it could be an experience generated by the observer. Her words linger like an echo through eternity. The camera drifts across ancient philosophical texts, Upanishads, Taoist scrolls, writings of Plato and Kant, all whispering the same idea across millennia, that the physical world is not ultimate reality. The narrator ties these voices together. From east to west, from temple to telescope, thinkers have whispered the same secret, that existence is only the reflection of something deeper, more essential. The beyond is not distant. It is hidden within the illusion of form. The film now slows, entering a meditative rhythm. The screen fills with imagery of rippling water, its surface reflecting the sky. The narrator's voice softens. Our senses are mirrors. They show us only the surface, never the depth. Like the reflection on water, existence shimmers, beautiful, transient, untouchable. And yet, behind the reflection lies stillness, the true essence, unseen yet eternal. Sound design becomes immersive. Distant bells, flowing air, heartbeats, subtle tones vibrating at the edge of perception. Viewers can almost feel reality dissolve into its underlying vibration. The narration continues. If the universe is energy vibrating at infinite frequencies, then consciousness is the listener, the one perceiving the song of existence. We cut to a digital sequence, streams of data forming galaxies, equations morphing into constellations, bits of code dissolving into light. A voice from an AI researcher overlays. What we call physical laws could be the operating code of the cosmos. Reality might not be made of matter, but of mathematics, patterns written in light. Then comes the counterpoint, the mystic's voice, calm and timeless. And what is mathematics, if not the mind of God thinking itself into being? The documentary's tone deepens, moving from analysis to awe. Perhaps, the narrator muses, the divide between science and spirituality is only another illusion. Two languages describing the same truth from different sides of the veil. Cinematic imagery now paints this truth in light. A star's supernova mirrored by the birth of a human child, a spiral galaxy overlaid with the swirl of a fingerprint, the veins of a leaf mirroring the structure of cosmic filaments. Every frame suggests connection, the same pattern repeating from atom to galaxy, breath to storm, heartbeat to supernova. The narrator's tone becomes reverent, patterns within patterns. Fractals of meaning. The entire universe, a self-aware equation, dreaming itself into being. The film transitions into a sequence of dissolving boundaries. Mountains fade into clouds, clouds into oceans, oceans into mist, mist into starlight. We search for the beyond, the narrator says, but what if the beyond has always been here, woven into every shape, every atom, every moment? The music grows richer, a slow, ascending harmony blending orchestral tones with electronic whispers. Feels both ancient and futuristic. Now a philosopher speaks on screen. There is an ancient idea, he says, that reality is a mirror. Every experience reflects your own consciousness back at you. The world you see is the shape of your own perception. Change the perceiver and the universe changes too. The narration follows. In this mirror of being, there is no separation between the observer and the observed. To look outward is to look inward. The universe perceives itself through our eyes. The visual language becomes symbolic. A human eye transitions into a galaxy's spiral, then into a whirlpool of light. The rhythm slows. Silence enters again. The narrator whispers, "If the universe is conscious, then every life, every moment, every fleeting breath is the universe remembering itself. Existence, then, is not random, it is revelation." We are shown a montage, a mother's hand brushing her child's face, a whale gliding through deep blue water, stars colliding in distant space, monks walking through candlelight. The imagery is human, cosmic, intimate. The emotion swells. Perhaps, the narrator continues, to exist is to participate in the eternal act of knowing. To be alive is to help the universe remember that it is infinite. The tempo quickens. The scene shifts to a storm, lightning striking across a dark ocean. The voice returns, deeper now, carrying awe and urgency. But what happens when awareness forgets? When the illusion becomes so perfect that we mistake it for truth. The visuals become darker. City lights flickering, digital grids overlaying faces, machines humming. The tone grows tense. "We built worlds within worlds," says the narrator. "Simulations, data, artificial minds. We recreated our own illusion and in doing so became prisoners within it." A brief silence. Then, light again. The storm breaks. A sunrise burns across the horizon. But even within illusion, the narrator says softly, truth waits. Awareness cannot be lost, it only dreams. We see a figure walking across an endless desert under a twilight sky. Each step creates ripples of light beneath their feet. The imagery evokes transcendence, the journey from illusion to awakening. To awaken, the voice continues, is not to escape the dream, but to realize that you are the dreamer. Now the visuals grow abstract, luminous webs connecting stars and atoms. Time slows until it feels suspended. What exists beyond existence, the narrator whispers, may not be beyond at all. It may be the recognition that existence itself is divine, that every particle, every thought, every breath is the face of infinity. The soundtrack becomes a harmonic wave of sound, neither music nor noise, but something vast and sacred. The visuals fade between light and shadow, illustrating the eternal cycle, creation, dissolution, rebirth. Then, in stillness, a final idea emerges, quiet, piercing, and luminous. There is no boundary between the finite and the infinite. They are the same ocean seen from different depths. What lies beyond existence is not another world but the same one, seen without illusion. The camera moves slowly through clouds toward a star, which pulses, collapses, and becomes pure white light. Within that light, faint silhouettes of human faces appear, all of humanity reflected in a single eternal consciousness. The narrator's voice fades into near silence, and so the search ends where it began, not in discovery but in remembrance. The beyond was never elsewhere. It was always within. The final visual shows the universe folding into itself, galaxies spiraling inward like a breath drawn before stillness. The music slows until it becomes a single, continuous note, the sound of eternity itself. The voice returns for the last time, barely audible. To know the beyond is not to leave existence behind. It is to see through it, to recognize that the dream was always awake. The screen fades to black. A heartbeat echoes once. Then silence. Only the hum of infinity remains. The documentary now ventures into the profound concept of infinity, examining its implications across science, philosophy, and human consciousness. The opening visuals are cinematic and mind-expanding, endless cosmic landscapes stretching beyond the horizon, fractal patterns unfolding into infinite complexity, and rivers of light flowing through boundless voids. The narrator poses a provocative question. What does it truly mean for something to be infinite, and can the human mind ever grasp the scale, depth, and nature of infinity? This section immerses viewers in awe, intellectual curiosity, and existential reflection, setting the stage for a journey through the limitless and the incomprehensible. The narrative begins by exploring mathematical and physical interpretations of infinity, numbers extending endlessly, infinite sequences, and the concept of unbounded space and time. Cinematic visualizations render these abstract ideas into tangible experiences. Spiraling fractals stretching into eternity, galaxies receding into infinite darkness, and numbers cascading endlessly across luminous grids, allowing viewers to intuitively sense the vastness of the infinite. Historical and philosophical perspectives are interwoven. Ancient civilizations' fascination with the boundless, Aristotle's paradoxes of the infinite, and Cantor's revolutionary set theory, which revealed multiple forms and sizes of infinity. Dramatic reenactments depict thinkers grappling with these ideas, their expressions reflecting both awe and existential tension, emphasizing that human understanding is constantly challenged by the limitless. Mystery hooks are maintained through exploration of cosmic infinity, the unobservable universe, potentially infinite multiverses, and the endless repetition of patterns in space and time. Cinematic simulations depict these phenomena with breathtaking visuals. Infinite loops of galaxies forming and dissolving, energy flowing through unending networks and landscapes folding upon themselves in surreal patterns. Emotional contrast is central. The finite human experience is juxtaposed against the immeasurable, prompting both humility and wonder. Human stories anchor abstract concepts. A mathematician meditating on infinite sets, an astronomer staring into the depths of the observable universe, and a philosopher contemplating eternity, providing emotional resonance and a sense of personal connection to vast ideas. The documentary explores philosophical implications. If infinity underlies reality, what does that mean for consciousness, existence, and meaning? Are human life and perception fleeting sparks in an endless continuum, or are they integral threads woven into the infinite fabric of the cosmos? Visual metaphors deepen engagement. Spiraling lights dissolving into darkness, endless staircases ascending beyond sight, and rivers of energy stretching into boundless horizons, creating a cinematic sense of wonder and scale. Sound design reinforces immersion. Deep resonant drones evoke the vastness of infinite space, punctuated by shimmering notes representing glimpses of order, patterns, and beauty within the boundless. The narrative also examines infinity in the context of time. Eternal recurrence, cyclical universes, and the possibility that all events may exist simultaneously across infinite dimensions. Cinematic sequences visualize these concepts. Looping cosmic events, folding timelines, and multidimensional landscapes extending endlessly, offering a visceral sense of temporal and spatial infinity. Contrast framing is maintained throughout. Finite versus infinite, known versus unknown, personal experience versus cosmic vastness, sustaining emotional and intellectual engagement. The documentary introduces speculative ideas. The multiverse as a manifestation of infinite possibilities, higher dimensional spaces that challenge perception, and the philosophical implications of eternal existence versus non-existence. Cinematic visuals illustrate these notions with dynamic, immersive imagery. Infinite webs of light connecting universes, energy rippling across boundless planes, and abstract forms repeating endlessly in hypnotic patterns. Human curiosity is emphasized. The pursuit of understanding infinity drives scientific discovery, philosophical reflection, and artistic expression, highlighting the interplay between intellect, imagination, and emotion. By the conclusion of this section, viewers are enveloped in awe, tension, and contemplation, grappling with the enormity and subtlety of infinity. The final cinematic imagery lingers on an endless spiral of light stretching into the void, each turn symbolizing a layer of infinite possibility, a visual metaphor for the boundless, mysterious, and ever-unfolding nature of reality, leaving the audience suspended between wonder, fear, and a deep, irresistible curiosity to explore the infinite further. The scene opens in silence. A vast, slow-moving ocean of light stretches into infinity. It is not water, not energy, not even space, but something in between. The screen fades in from black as the narration begins in a whisper. When time dissolves, when memory fades, what remains of what we call self? Is existence bound to identity, or does consciousness persist beyond the form it temporarily inhabits? This section begins as a deep meditation on the continuum of consciousness, the bridge between the living and the eternal. The tone is intimate yet cosmic. The visuals alternate between close-up shots of human eyes reflecting starlight and sweeping celestial vistas where galaxies spiral like neurons firing in a cosmic brain. The rhythm of the narration mirrors the pulse of the universe itself, each phrase carefully weighted, each silence deliberate. The narrator continues, "For centuries, we have mistaken awareness as a byproduct of existence. But what if awareness is not within existence? What if existence itself is within awareness?" The film slows. A physicist's voice overlays the narration, calm, thoughtful. He describes quantum entanglement, how two particles can remain connected across infinite distances. Maybe consciousness, he says, is the entanglement of everything with everything else, the field through which the cosmos knows itself. We cut to a monastery in the Himalayas. Snow falls gently on ancient stone steps. A monk sits in stillness, eyes closed. His breath is slow, his heartbeat faint. The voice of the narrator blends with his silence. In the spaces between breaths, he finds no beginning and no end. Only awareness, infinite, silent, boundless. The soundscape deepens. A low, resonant hum emerges, almost like the vibration of the universe itself. The visuals become abstract. Ripples of light expanding outward, galaxies unfolding from a single luminous seed. This imagery symbolizes the birth of existence from consciousness, not the other way around. The film transitions to the story of a neuroscientist who spent her life studying the human brain structure of awareness. Her voice is reflective as she stands before an MRI scan glowing on a screen. Every time we look for consciousness, it slips between our measurements. We can find its correlates, its shadows, but never the source itself. She pauses. Perhaps that's because it doesn't begin or end with the brain. Perhaps the brain is only a mirror, consciousness looking at itself through matter. The narration deepens with emotional resonance. When matter awakens, we call it life. When life reflects, we call it mind. When mind dissolves into infinity, we call it transcendence. But in truth, they are one motion, one eternal rhythm. The visuals show evolution in fast motion. The birth of stars, the emergence of oceans, the flicker of single-celled organisms, the rise of consciousness in animal eyes. The transition from primordial simplicity to human complexity unfolds like a dream. Through it all, one theme remains. Consciousness was always there, witnessing its own becoming. As the documentary continues, it contrasts scientific explanations with mystical insight. A philosopher speaks over soft piano tones. The question, what lies beyond existence, is the same as asking, what is existence made of? The mystics say it is awareness, the silent background upon which all forms appear. Visuals fade into minimalist imagery, a single point of light hovering in darkness. Slowly it multiplies, becoming two, then infinite. The narrator's voice returns, carrying an emotional gravity. From one awareness came the illusion of two. From two came the dance of everything. Duality was born, creation began. The pace increases. Lightning-like bursts of imagery flash across the screen. Particle collisions, supernovae, human birth, the firing of neurons, the death of a star. Each moment seems connected by an unseen thread. The viewer feels a deep, almost visceral understanding that consciousness is the thread itself, weaving reality together. Then the tone shifts, from expansion to introspection. The narrator speaks gently. If consciousness is the canvas of reality, then death is not an end but a change in the picture. The brushstroke fades but the canvas remains. A man sits beside a hospital bed, holding the hand of a loved one. The heart monitor beeps softly, then stops. The screen fades to white. The narrator whispers, "The silence that follows is not absence. It is return." The scene transitions to deep space, stars dissolving, galaxies vanishing into a vast void. Yet even the void shimmers faintly, pulsing with hidden life. This visual metaphor conveys the paradox of nothingness as fullness, emptiness as the womb of being. The narrator continues, his tone now like a prayer. Perhaps the beyond is not a place, not a heaven or realm, but the timeless awareness that births all places, all realms, all moments. Beyond existence lies the awareness that existence has always been, infinite, self-knowing, awake. The soundtrack swells with haunting vocals and distant echoes. The camera glides through abstract dimensions, time folding upon itself, energy streams intersecting like rivers of light. The boundaries between matter and spirit dissolve. Everything becomes one radiant field. The narration turns reflective, addressing the viewer directly. When you close your eyes, what remains? Not the world, not your body, only awareness itself, silent and eternal. In that silence lies the beyond we've always sought. At this moment, the documentary achieves emotional climax. The visuals merge, human faces, galaxies, and waves of light interwoven in a single pulsating image. It feels as though the universe itself is breathing. The music reaches a crescendo, a fusion of strings, choir, and the faint heartbeat of existence. Then silence. The narrator whispers, and when the breath stops, awareness does not. It is not within the body is within it. The stars are within it. All that is, and all that ever will be, arise and dissolve within this eternal witness. The film begins to slow again. Scenes of everyday life appear. A child laughing, rain falling on leaves, hands touching, waves breaking on a distant shore. The narration becomes tender, intimate. Perhaps we have been looking for eternity in the wrong place. It was never beyond us. It was within every breath, every heartbeat, every fleeting moment of being alive. A soft piano melody begins. The screen shows a person standing at the edge of a cliff at dawn, sunlight spilling across the horizon. The narration continues, to know what lies beyond existence is not to escape it, but to see through it. To see that existence and awareness are not two things, but one endless mirror reflecting itself forever. The documentary moves into its reflective denouement, the calm after revelation. The tone is still luminous. Viewers are given space to breathe, to feel the immensity of what has been revealed. The narrator speaks with quiet reverence. There is no beyond, only the infinite unfolding of the same mystery, awareness exploring itself through light, time, and form. The beyond is here now always. The final minutes unfold like a visual meditation. A seed sprouting in soil dissolves into a nebula forming a star. A human heartbeat echoes like the pulse of the cosmos. A drop of water falls, its ripples expanding endlessly outward. The same ripple transforms into gravitational waves across the fabric of spacetime. Every motion, every sound, every image is synchronized with one truth: there is no separation. The beyond has never been apart from the present moment. The narrator's voice fades almost to a whisper. Perhaps what we call existence is the universe's way of knowing it is infinite. And what we call beyond is simply the recognition that there was never a boundary at all. The music swells gently once more, not as climax but as release. The imagery softens, dawn breaking over a quiet earth, clouds drifting across the sun, a child's eyes opening in wonder. The narration concludes with a final thought that bridges emotion and intellect. In every moment you have ever lived, every thought, every silence, you have touched the beyond. It was never somewhere else. It was always here, watching, waiting, being. The camera pans upward, through the atmosphere, beyond the curvature of the earth, past the moon, the sun, the spiraling arm of the Milky Way, until the entire cosmos appears, shimmering in the blackness. Then even the stars dissolve into a single, boundless light. The voice returns one last time, barely audible, like an echo from eternity. Beyond existence lies not nothingness, but the infinite awareness of being itself. The mystery was never out there. It was always you. The light expands until it fills the entire screen, blinding, pure, infinite. Then, without warning, it vanishes into silence. Black. A heartbeat. Then, one last flicker of light, as if the universe takes another breath. Fade out. The documentary now explores the profound interconnectedness that may underlie all existence, weaving together science, philosophy, and cinematic storytelling to reveal the hidden threads linking matter, consciousness, and the cosmos. The opening visuals are expansive and immersive. Luminous webs stretching across vast cosmic voids, streams of energy flowing through natural landscapes, and human silhouettes dissolving into patterns of light that merge with stars and galaxies. The narrator poses a compelling question. Could every particle, thought, and moment of awareness be part of an intricate, unified tapestry that binds all things across time, space, and consciousness? This section immediately evokes awe, wonder, and contemplative curiosity, framing interconnectedness as both a cosmic principle and a deeply personal realization. The narrative begins with scientific exploration of networks that span scales, from quantum entanglement connecting particles across vast distances, to the intricate ecosystems of Earth, and finally to the cosmic web of galaxies forming the universe's backbone. Cinematic visualizations translate these concepts into tangible, immersive experiences. Particles linked by glowing filaments, neural networks merging with star clusters, and rivers of energy flowing seamlessly through matter and consciousness. Mystery hooks are introduced through phenomena that challenge linear perception. Synchronization in nature, unexpected correlations in quantum systems, and reports of collective consciousness experiences, all suggesting that reality may be far more interconnected than it appears. Historical and philosophical perspectives enrich the narrative. Ancient traditions and spiritual philosophies, from Eastern concepts of oneness to indigenous views of interdependence, are juxtaposed with modern scientific inquiry, highlighting humanity's enduring recognition of the unseen bonds that shape existence. Dramatic reenactments depict thinkers meditating, observing nature, or charting the cosmos, emphasizing both curiosity and humility in the face of such vast, invisible networks. Emotional contrast is central. The individuality and vulnerability of human life is set against the grandeur and continuity of interconnected systems, evoking awe, reverence, and subtle existential tension. The documentary delves into the role of consciousness within these networks. Are thoughts, intentions, and awareness themselves threads in the cosmic web? Cinematic sequences illustrate this idea. luminous streams flowing from human minds into surrounding matter, energy patterns synchronizing across distances, and consciousness visualized as a radiant force linking microcosm and macrocosm. Sound design reinforces immersion. Deep resonant tones suggest the vibrations of unseen connections, while higher, shimmering notes evoke the subtle interplay of consciousness and matter, creating a sense of both intimacy and universality. Human stories provide grounding. Individuals experiencing moments of deep empathy, collective insight, or mystical unity are interwoven with the broader cosmic narrative, demonstrating that interconnectedness is not only a scientific or philosophical concept but a lived reality. These vignettes evoke emotional resonance, bridging abstract ideas with personal, tangible experience. The section also explores scientific theories suggesting fundamental interconnection, quantum field theory, holographic principles, and unified models of physics, presented through cinematic simulations of energy waves, multidimensional lattices, and cosmic filaments. Philosophical reflections deepen engagement. If all existence is interconnected, what does this mean for identity, morality, and purpose? Could understanding these hidden bonds transform human consciousness, relationships, and our relationship with the universe itself? Cinematic storytelling emphasizes contrast and tension. Moments of clarity are juxtaposed with vast, unseen networks. Personal perception is contrasted against cosmic scale, highlighting both wonder and existential challenge. Visual metaphors abound. Fractal patterns unfolding across scales, energy threads linking human beings with stars, and landscapes folding into infinite networks, reinforcing the seamless integration of all realms of existence. The narrative explores speculative frontiers, potential interactions between consciousness and matter, feedback loops within universal networks, and the possibility that hidden dimensions or parallel realities are linked through subtle, unseen threads. Cinematic visuals render these ideas vividly, streams of luminous energy connecting worlds, pulsating nodes of consciousness across space, and shifting lattices that suggest unseen interdependencies. Emotional tension is heightened by emphasizing the delicate balance between order and chaos, individuality and universality, known and unknown. By the conclusion of this section, viewers are enveloped in awe, reverence, and contemplative curiosity, recognizing that the fabric of existence may be a unified, dynamic network connecting all phenomena. The final cinematic imagery lingers on a glowing lattice of light spanning galaxies, neurons, rivers, and human silhouettes, each element pulsating in synchrony, a visual metaphor for the profound interconnectedness that permeates all realms of reality, leaving the audience suspended between wonder, introspection, and a deep, resonant sense of unity with the cosmos. The documentary now reaches its climactic and most profound moment, confronting the central mystery that has guided the entire narrative. What, if anything, exists beyond existence itself? The visuals open with a sweeping, cinematic panorama. Galaxies dissolving into waves of light, oceans reflecting infinite skies, and the faint pulse of energy flickering in the void. The narrator's voice emerges softly, almost reverently. If existence encompasses all that is, then what lies beyond it? Is there a boundary to reality, or is the idea of beyond merely a human illusion born from limitation? From the very first moment, this section evokes awe, reverence, and existential tension, drawing viewers into the silent heart of the unknown. The narrative begins by exploring the limits of human comprehension. Science, philosophy, and mysticism converge in a shared humility before the infinite. Cinematic visualizations depict vast expanses of darkness punctuated by faint glimmers of light, symbols of understanding emerging within the ungraspable void. The documentary weaves together scientific concepts like the multiverse, higher dimensions, and quantum vacuum fluctuations with philosophical ideas from East and West that speak of the void, the absolute, and the eternal. The tone is meditative yet intense, reflecting the delicate balance between awe and fear that defines our confrontation with the unknowable. Mystery hooks are introduced through paradoxes. The void that contains everything, the timeless that births time, the nothingness that gives rise to form. The imagery deepens this paradoxical beauty, galaxies collapsing into singularities that bloom again into light, infinite reflections within reflections, and energy spirals that vanish into stillness. The documentary suggests that the answer may not lie in a realm beyond, but in understanding the nature of being itself, that existence and non-existence may not be opposites but intertwined aspects of a greater whole. The emotional resonance grows as the narration shifts from intellectual exploration to existential intimacy. Every question about what lies beyond existence is also a question about the meaning of life, death, and awareness. Human stories add depth and grounding. A dying philosopher reflects on the boundary between consciousness and oblivion. A mystic describes visions of infinite light dissolving the self. A scientist gazes at data from deep space, realizing that beyond every discovery lies an even deeper mystery. These vignettes weave together to evoke awe and humility, the shared human experience of confronting the ultimate unknown. Sound design heightens the emotion. Low, resonant tones evoke the vast emptiness of the void, while faint, ascending choral harmonies suggest hope, transcendence, and the persistence of consciousness amid uncertainty. The documentary explores ancient and modern attempts to define the beyond. Eastern philosophies speak of the void not as absence but as potential, the source from which all arises. Western mystics describe the divine ground of being, the eternal substratum beneath existence. Modern physics speaks of zero-point energy, quantum fluctuations, and dimensional boundaries where conventional understanding collapses. Each of these perspectives is illustrated through cinematic metaphors. Waves forming from stillness, matter dissolving into light, and light fading into silent darkness. The contrast between human limitation and cosmic vastness drives the emotional rhythm, evoking both fear and serenity, despair and transcendence. The narrative builds toward its thematic peak, the realization that beyond existence may not be a place or state, but a transformation of perception. Perhaps the infinite has always been here, hidden behind the illusion of separateness. Cinematic sequences depict a person's face merging with stars, neurons blending into galaxies, and entire universes pulsing like a single living organism. The narrator's voice grows softer, intimate. What if existence is not something we inhabit but something that flows through us, eternal, boundless, and indivisible? Philosophical reflection reaches its most poetic form. If existence is infinite, then beyond existence may simply be awareness itself, a dimension that observes, feels, and becomes all things. The film suggests that consciousness and reality are not separate entities but reflections of one vast, unbroken field. Visuals mirror this realization. Light and shadow merge, boundaries dissolve, and the entire cosmos is revealed as a single breathing entity, the universe awakening to its own awareness. The emotional tone becomes transcendent. Viewers are invited to feel, not just think, the immensity of the mystery. The music swells softly, a fusion of human voices and ambient cosmic tones, symbolizing the harmony between the finite and the infinite. The documentary lingers on moments of stillness, waves slowing, stars flickering out, silence expanding, to convey the ineffable beauty of what cannot be known or named. As the section closes, the narration offers no final answer, only an opening. Perhaps beyond existence is not beyond at all, but within, in the quiet space between thoughts, in the timeless awareness that witnesses all. The final imagery is breathtaking and symbolic. A single particle of light floating in darkness, expanding slowly until it becomes everything: galaxies, oceans, human eyes, and then again pure light. The screen fades to black, the voice whispering the final line. Perhaps what lies beyond existence is existence itself, infinite, eternal, and awake. The section ends in a state of serene wonder, the tension unresolved yet transformed into reverence. The audience is left in silence, reflecting not on what lies beyond, but on the profound realization that existence, in all its beauty and mystery, has never truly had an edge. The screen opens in total darkness. A silence that feels alive hums through the void, not emptiness but a fullness too vast for sound. Slowly, a faint pulse of light emerges, rhythmic and steady, like a heartbeat in the womb of the cosmos. The narrator's voice enters, soft and reverent, as if aware of the sacred weight of what is about to unfold. There comes a moment when every question dissolves, not because we have found the answer but because we have become it. The visuals expand outward from the single pulse. It becomes a wave, spreading through the darkness until galaxies, stars, and nebulae shimmer into being. The light is slow, golden, ancient. The music builds softly, a blend of choral whispers and deep, resonant strings. The narration continues. For eons, humanity has sought the edge of existence, in the atom, in the star, in the self. Yet at every horizon we find another beyond, another mirror reflecting the same eternal mystery. Perhaps there was never an edge at all, only an endless unfolding of awareness becoming aware of itself. We see flashes of humanity's journey, firelight against cave walls, ships sailing toward unknown horizons, telescopes pointed into deep space, data streams flowing through modern screens. Each moment is a spark in the greater fire of curiosity. Each is a glimpse of the same question: what lies beyond? The camera drifts through a starfield. The narrator's tone deepens, carrying both awe and calm. The beyond we seek was never out there. It was never a destination. It is the silent witness behind all destinations, the space in which existence itself happens. The visuals grow more intimate, faces of people across time and place, a child gazing at the night sky, an old woman whispering a prayer, a scientist smiling at a discovery. Their expressions merge in one continuous thread of wonder. Every look of awe, the narrator says, is a doorway to infinity. Every breath is a reminder that the beyond breathes through us. We are not explorers of the infinite, we are expressions of it. The score swells gently, not triumphant but transcendent. A chorus of human voices blends with cosmic sounds, as if humanity and the universe are singing to each other. The film transitions to imagery of nature, oceans shimmering under moonlight, forests moving with wind, the slow bloom of a flower captured in time-lapse. The visuals are drenched in golden light, suggesting something divine hidden in the ordinary. The beyond, the narrator whispers, is not distant. It is here, in the rustle of leaves, in the space between thoughts, in the quiet presence that watches without name or form. The music fades, replaced by silence, a silence that feels infinite. The visuals slow to a still image, a drop of water falling into a pond, ripples expanding outward. The camera follows the ripples as they merge and fade, revealing a reflection of the sky above. This, the voice continues, is the dance of existence. Each ripple a life, a world, a dream. Each wave arising and dissolving in the same boundless stillness. Nothing is ever lost. Nothing ever truly ends. The camera rises from the pond into clouds, then into space. We see the earth glowing, fragile, alive. The narrator's tone becomes filled with emotion, warmth, compassion, and deep unity. We have searched for what lies beyond life, beyond time, beyond existence. Yet the truth waits quietly within every heartbeat, that there is no beyond, only endless transformation. To die is to change form. To live is to dance within the infinite. Visuals of cosmic scale begin to unfold, stars being born and dying, black holes devouring light, galaxies colliding, all moving in slow, majestic rhythm. The music becomes vast, a celestial symphony echoing eternity. The narrator speaks again, each word measured like a heartbeat. The universe is not a thing that exists. It is existence itself, breathing in cycles of creation and dissolution. Every ending is a beginning. Every silence is a song not yet heard. A physicist's voice returns briefly, layered beneath the narration. Even in the void, particles flicker in and out of being. The nothingness of space is full, a sea of potential waiting to become. The narration replies softly, as if continuing the same thought. And what is potential but the whisper of the beyond, eternity dreaming of itself? The visuals now intertwine science and spirituality, quantum fields glowing like sacred geometry, neurons firing like constellations, galaxies expanding like living cells. The boundaries between matter and spirit blur completely. The entire cosmos feels conscious. We are not small, the narrator says. We are not lost. We are the eyes through which the universe beholds its own beauty. The beyond looks at itself through us. Moments from earlier sections subtly return. The monk meditating in silence, the physicist studying light, the child reaching out toward the stars. These scenes now appear connected, threads of one eternal story. The voice grows softer, filled with a sense of knowing and peace. Perhaps that is what it means to exist, to be the meeting point between the finite and the infinite, the moment where awareness remembers it has no boundaries. The camera moves toward a single star, burning bright, pulsing with slow intensity. Light, the narrator whispers, is not bound by time. It travels through darkness carrying the memory of every moment it has touched. And when we gaze at the stars, we are not looking into the past, we are remembering the eternal now. The star begins to expand, filling the screen with golden light. Within it, faint images appear, faces, mountains, oceans, dreams, all merging, dissolving, becoming one. The narration continues. Beyond existence lies not another realm, but the recognition that existence itself was never separate. The beyond and the now are one. The infinite and the moment are the same breath. The music slows again, becoming gentle, tender. The visuals move back to earth, waves rolling against shorelines, cities glowing under twilight, lovers walking hand in hand. The ordinary is illuminated as sacred. What if the purpose of existence, the narrator asks softly, was never to escape it, but to awaken within it? To see the divine not in heavens unseen, but in the breath you take right now? We see human hands planting seeds, sharing food, comforting, creating. The documentary turns its gaze toward compassion, the expression of awareness in human form. Perhaps love, the voice says, is the beyond made visible, the infinite recognizing itself in another. The visuals become luminous, candles burning in the dark, rain reflecting light, galaxies swirling above. Every act of kindness, every spark of creation, the narrator continues, is the beyond unfolding through you. The tone becomes deeply emotional. The viewer feels a unity, as if all existence, from atoms to stars to human hearts, beats in one rhythm. The beyond is not somewhere to reach, the voice whispers. It is something to remember. Every soul, every being, is a window through which the infinite shines. The screen transitions to pure light once again, but this time it is softer, more personal, as if the light itself is conscious. The narrator continues, voice filled with awe. Perhaps this was the final revelation, that existence and the beyond are not opposites, but reflections. That the journey through the cosmos was never a search for answers, but an awakening of memory, the remembrance that you were never apart from the whole. Silence follows. The light pulses gently like a living heart. The voice breaks the stillness one last time, and when all the stars fade, when every world has turned to dust, awareness remains, vast, silent, eternal. It is not the end. It is the beginning without beginning. The camera now moves backward, through galaxies, past nebulae, through the fabric of spacetime itself. The visuals become abstract, swirling energy, light folding upon light, the universe breathing in slow motion. The narrator whispers, to exist is to be a moment in the eternal dream. To awaken is to realize, the dreamer was never asleep. The music rises toward its final crescendo, a blend of orchestral strings, soft choir, and a single resonant tone that vibrates like creation itself. The visuals dissolve completely into white light. And then, nothing. For a few seconds there is absolute silence. The audience feels suspended in timelessness. Then, softly, the narrator returns, barely audible. Beyond existence lies not nothingness, but the stillness from which everything arises, the source that is always here, waiting to be seen. The mystery remains, but so does the knowing, that you too are part of it. That you always were. A single point of light appears at the center of the screen. It pulses once, twice, then expands outward, becoming everything. The music fades into a distant hum, neither beginning nor end, only the sound of being. The final words are spoken slowly with infinite calm. There is no beyond. There is only this, eternal, infinite, awake. The light fills the screen completely, blinding, pure. And then, in perfect silence, it fades to black. A single heartbeat echoes. Then, nothing. Only awareness. Only existence. Only the beyond that was never separate.